Welcome to Old Dominion University Procurement Services Annual PCard Training. If you are taking this training, you are new to the university's PCard program, or you are seeking annual recertification as a cardholder, approver, or both. The purpose of this training is to equip you with knowledge necessary to protect you, ODU, and the Commonwealth from negligent or fraudulent misuse of the PCard. Remember, you are responsible for ensuring that your purchases comply with state and university policies and procedures. Get to know the PCard team. Ed Solerarit and Heather Somervale are the PCard program administrators. The program administrators and the procurement admin team are happy to be resources for any PCard questions you may have. We recommend checking out the resources on the PCard page of the Procurement Services website, too. On that page, we have a comprehensive guide with screenshots and step-by-step instructions, so you will know exactly what to look for in the Bank of America work system. We also have an easy-to-navigate policy document to help you quickly find answers. This training has 5 sections: Basics of the PCard, Expectations for the Cardholder, Online Reconciliation, Using Works as a PCard Approver Reviewer, and a final summary. After the training is taken, the quiz will become available. PCard Basics: the who, why, will, and when. Why? The card is an excellent way to streamline procurement processes for business-related small-dollar goods and services. It reduces paperwork, improves efficiency, and allows vendors to receive payments more quickly. Who? University employees who have been approved by their supervisor and the budget unit director are eligible to apply for a PCard. Each card is issued to the one specified employee named on the front of the card. If a department needs more than one person to have access to a card, additional employees may submit an application. Will the PCard show on my personal credit report? No. The PCard is not a personal liability card and does not appear on personal credit reports. When? When does the card expire? PCards expire 5 years from the date of issue. Authorized users. Authorized use of a PCard is limited to the person whose name appears on the face of the card. Learning your responsibilities as a cardholder. Cardholder responsibilities include, but are not limited to: 1. Ensuring purchases comply with state and ODU policies and procedures, including allowable and non-allowable expenditures. 2. Ensuring transactions are within established transaction limits and monthly credit limits. 3. Processing proper monthly online and paper reconciliations. The approver reviewer is equally responsible for ensuring the compliance of the PCard. As a card approver, you'll want to be sure to look for the following before you approve a transaction: all purchases are valid business expenses. Reconciliation is supported with sufficient documentation, including receipts. All orders are in compliance with university and procurement policies. There are no split charges and limits are not exceeded. There are no past due invoice payments. Merchandise purchased with the card has not been returned for store credit, and state sales tax was not charged. If sales tax was charged, the refund was processed and documented. The approver reviewer is equally responsible for ensuring the compliance of the PCard. As a card approver, you'll want to be sure to look for the following before you approve a transaction: all purchases are valid business expenses. Reconciliation is supported with sufficient documentation, including receipts. All orders are in compliance with university and procurement policies. There are no split charges and limits are not exceeded. There are no past due invoice payments. Merchandise purchased with the card has not been returned for store credit, and state sales tax was not charged. If sales tax was charged, the refund was processed and documented. Policies and procedures related to the PCard are in place to maintain the integrity of the program and encourage proper use of university and taxpayer funds. Failure to comply with policies and procedures may result in suspension or revocation of the cardholder's privileges, even for the first offense. Deliberate or recurring noncompliance, or failure to perform required duties, may constitute cause for disciplinary action up to and including termination of employment. So please understand the importance of compliance. Know what you can and cannot purchase. ODU is a nonprofit, state-assisted institution, and its expenditures receive a more substantive review because it operates in the public sector. Therefore, ODU must ensure that all expenditures are necessary in the fulfillment of its stated mission and are incurred at a reasonable cost. Understanding the definition of a business expenditure will help you make smart purchasing decisions. A business expenditure is an expenditure that is directly related to the operation of a functional area and the fulfillment of its stated mission or objective as part of the university. What should you consider when making a purchase? 1. Check that your purchase is allowable under University Policy 3001, a helpful place to begin for identifying what expenditures are allowable from the different ledger accounts. 2. Ensure that your purchase is allowable for the funding source you are using. 3. Check for a contract for the good or service you are purchasing. Contract listings are located on the Procurement Services website. 4. If no contract is available, attempt to locate a SWAM vendor who can provide the good or service at a fair and reasonable cost. Guides to help you locate SWAM vendors are on the Procurement Services website, or contact any team member in procurement for help locating a SWAM vendor. 5. Confirm that appropriate approvals are obtained and filed with your statement. 2 examples are Aramark confirming and completed order forms, and VP level approval for memberships in accordance with Policy 1060. The following items are never allowable on the card: alcohol, lodging, gift cards, fuel, personal items, and items that are part of the state's fraud table, such as bars, weapons, ammunition, and gambling establishments. Restricted items require additional permissions and/or an understanding of the limited allowable use. 1. Catering is allowable with Aramark only, as they are the university's contract catering vendor, and ODU has specialized permission from DOA for this allowance. Permission for Aramark PCard transactions went all the way to the Deputy State Controller of Virginia for approval. For Aramark transactions, it's very important to include a copy of the confirming order signed prior to the event, plus the completed order paid receipt with the monthly reconciliation report. Cardholders must comply with the requirement to have a signed confirming order prior to the event for the department to maintain the privilege of paying Aramark by PCard. 2. Travel. A limited travel exception is available to facilitate domestic air, rail, and bus ticket purchases. The exception request form for this is available on the Procurement Services PCard webpage. Remember, taxis, shuttle service, and parking are considered personal business expenses. These should be paid by the traveler and go through the travel reimbursement process. This exception is not intended to replace the travel card available from the Office of Finance, which allows a wider range of purchases. 3. Car rental. A limited car rental exception for enterprise rental car only is available to pay for basic time and distance plus allowable tolls. The exception request form for this is also available on the Procurement Services PCard webpage. 4. Office supplies. These are blocked from the PCard. Office supply orders should go through the RGH Staples website, which is paid via direct bill. Items not carried by the contract vendor may be paid with the PCard if prior approval of PCard administrators has been obtained. 5. Printing. Printing is an allowable charge. However, you want to be sure that you're following the approved printing services process and have all appropriate approvals from University Publishing. 6. Amazon. These purchases require use of the ODU Amazon account. Amazon purchases, as all other purchases, are strictly for items that cannot be purchased from a contract or SWAM vendor. 7. Gifts and functions must be related to university business and come from the appropriate budget code. University Policy 3001 provides guidance for different gift scenarios. Can I use my PCard for restaurants, you may ask? Unfortunately, no. DOA does not allow PCard use for restaurant meals, banquets, or caterers. ODU does have a special exception for Aramark only, which requires additional documentation. And in very limited circumstances, one-time exceptions may be granted for special instances with prior approval, such as off-campus staff retreats or off-campus recruitment events. Upload additional documents for Aramark transactions. Include the signed confirming order and completed order documentation. The confirming order documents that someone with signature authority approved the Aramark order prior to the event's occurrence. The completed order is the paid receipt showing that the card was used for payment. Amazon is restricted. Amazon may be used to purchase items such as books, DVDs, and CDs. For all other purchases, Amazon may be used only as a last resort for items that are not available from contract, SWAM, or any other vendor. All Amazon purchases must use an ODU Amazon account that rolls to PCard program administrators for approval. To be added to the ODU Amazon approval account, email the PCard program administrator. Tuition for courses with academic credit. Professional development is allowable on the PCard as long as the course is not for academic credit, because employee courses may be considered a taxable benefit and student courses could affect financial aid awards. What's the deal with software? Cardholders are reminded that software purchases require the submission of a Software Decision Analysis, the SDA, through ITS prior to purchase. SDAs for software are a vital tool to ensure we are good stewards of sensitive information. What's the deal with software? Continued. Gatsby 96 is a new federal reporting requirement for software subscriptions. That makes the SDAs more important than ever. The software agreements are not covered by the SDA. Those need to be reviewed by an IT buyer in procurement to ensure that we can agree to the terms and conditions. Software purchases should go through EVA. However, we realize that some vendors only accept card payments. If that's the case, you will need to request approval prior to purchase from PCard administrators for software purchases. Include the SDA, software agreement, and approval from the IT buyer. Detailed works comments with how software is used, along with beginning and end dates, will also need to be included. What's the deal with software? Continued. ITS, the Office of Finance, and Procurement Services are all working together to monitor for compliance and to ensure the university has the necessary information for entry into the state system to be compliant with the federal Gatsby 96 requirements. International transactions. International treaties affect payments to foreign companies and are not allowable on the PCard. Foreign companies are generally taxed at 30% at the time of payment and should go through accounts payable. International conference registrations are not subject to that tax and are allowable on the card. Another question you may have is, does a PCard travel exception allow me to pay for hotels? No, lodging is actually a separate category of state-level restriction. And what if the hotel is part of a package through a travel agency? That would still be considered paying for lodging on the card, and ODU has not been granted authority by DOA to put lodging on the PCard, as this could circumvent the travel team's review to ensure lodging rates comply with the university's travel policies. A purchase order could be an option to consider for booking flight and lodging together through a travel agency. Can I pay tolls with my PCard, you may ask? Only under certain circumstances. If a person is available to accept payment, the PCard may not be used. This is a reimbursable personal business expense that should be paid by the driver and then go through Chrome River for a reimbursement. For cashless tolls, where no toll booth operator is available, the PCard may be used to pay current pay-by-plate invoices for state vehicles. Also, if an enterprise car rental was paid with a PCard, the pay-by-plate charges associated with that rental may be paid by PCard. The next section addresses using the PCard as a cardholder with information on how to obtain and secure a card, make a purchase, and other special card considerations. How to obtain and activate your card. 1. After completing the Blackboard training, submit the completed PCard application with the SWAM training dates to the PCard Program Administrator. You'll want to be sure that the application is signed by you, your approver reviewer, and the Budget Unit Director. 2. Complete the online training, test, and face-to-face training. Approver reviewers are not required to attend the face-to-face training, but they must take the online training and pass the test. 3. Cards will be mailed to the Program Administrator, who will notify cardholders when available for pickup. 4. Once you receive the card, you want to activate by calling the number on the sticker attached to the card. 5. The activation code will be ODU's agency number 221, followed by your 6-digit date of birth. The verification code to register the PIN code online is the same as the activation code. Securing your card information helps decrease the risk of fraud. Therefore, secure your card at all times. Never make a photocopy of the card, and never fax, mail, or email your full account number. This is especially important when placing orders. Do not lend or share the card with anyone. This includes approver reviewers. Card sharing will result in revocation of your card. Other employees should apply for a card if they plan to purchase goods or services. When purchasing via the Internet, ensure that you are using a secure website. These can be identified by an S following the HTTP in the web address. Determining your vendor. ODU is committed to utilization of small, woman-owned, and minority-owned businesses. These are often referred to as SWAM businesses, and ODU has a 47.5% expenditure goal approved by the Board of Visitors with these businesses. SWAM expenditures are tracked and reported to the Governor of Virginia on a monthly basis. Cardholders are strongly encouraged to purchase from SWAM firms when practicable to assist the university in reaching its 47.5% goal. Procurement Services will be happy to assist you with locating SWAM vendors. When ordering goods, you may order through the web, calling, faxing, emailing, mailing, or giving the order directly to the vendor. However, to pay for the order, you will need to be careful to keep the card information secure. Allowable methods to pay for orders are using a secure website, calling in the number to the vendor, or using the card at the vendor's place of business. Ensuring no taxes were charged. As a state-assisted institution, ODU is exempt from Virginia sales tax charges. In order to process an order as tax-exempt, vendors may ask for the ODU tax-exempt number, which is provided with your card. Some vendors may also request a copy of ODU's tax exemption certificate. The Office of Finance can provide this. If a vendor includes Virginia sales tax on a purchase, you must make every effort to obtain a refund. Begin by contacting the vendor directly and asking them to issue a credit. You will sign off on the transaction in BOA Works and note in the comments section that you are working with the vendor to obtain a credit for sales tax. When the tax credit is issued, you will sign off as you would for a regular transaction, being mindful to assign the same budget and sub-account codes as the original transaction. Making payment to vendors before the due date. As a state institution, ODU is required to abide by the Virginia Prompt Payment Act. This means that we are required to pay vendors within 30 days after receiving either a proper invoice or within 30 days of receiving the goods or services, whichever is later. Payment of past due or aged invoices is not allowable on the PCard. Contact Procurement Services for help getting vendors paid on past due invoices. Can I pay using third-party payment processors such as PayPal, Square, Verifone, WePay, etc.? Individuals and sole proprietors who often request to be paid using third-party payment processors cannot be paid via PCard due to 1099 tax reporting requirements. All payments to individuals and sole proprietors need to go through payroll or accounts payable using the IPSC checklist. This includes referees and photographers. It is important to remember that Amazon Pay is expressly prohibited by the Department of Accounts. Always select Pay by Visa credit card if that option is available. If this is not an option, it is permissible to use third-party payment processors other than Amazon Pay to make a payment to a business.
Can I use a mobile payment app?
No. The state prohibits use of all mobile wallet apps, including Apple, Samsung, and Google Pay due to security risk. Storing card information on any personal or state-owned mobile device is prohibited. Verify requirements are met before paying any checkout or surcharge fees with the PCard. As a result of a 2013 court settlement agreement with Visa and MasterCard, merchants are allowed to charge a surcharge or checkout fee if the following requirements are met. 1. The vendor must be registered with Visa at least 30 days prior to charging any fee and be able to provide their Visa registration number if you ask. 2. The vendor must disclose that a fee will be charged prior to fulfilling an order. 3. The vendor must disclose the amount of the surcharge using signs at the point of entry. 4. The fee is not to exceed actual cost the merchant pays their bank for processing, or 4%, whichever is lower. And 5. The fee must be a separate line item on the receipt. Requesting a higher limit. Monthly PCard limits are based on approver reviewer recommendations and the prior year's actual usage. The standard per transaction limit is $4,999, which facilitates faster payment to vendors on all allowable small dollar goods and services. The average monthly cycle limit is $25,000. Your department's needs may require less or more depending on the volume of your small dollar spending. If you find you need a monthly cycle limit adjusted, submit a PCard limit increase request to the program administrator. Please remember, it's very important that you do not, under any circumstance, authorize any charges over a card's limits. Authorizing a vendor to process separate transactions to circumvent the transaction limit is called split ordering or split purchasing and will result in revocation of the card. A few helpful hints. Knowing the transaction and monthly limits helps avoid the inconvenience of charges being declined. You can check the limits by logging into BOA Works and checking the spend control profile. Another thing to keep in mind is that ODU PCards only allow a cardholder to spend half of their monthly limit before requiring electronic sign-off. As soon as the cardholder and approver sign off in Works, the additional funds will become available. The purpose of this discretionary limit is to ensure approvers are involved in departmental spending. The Procurement Services PCard webpage has step-by-step user guides with screenshots to help you check limits, see your real-time available balance, find reasons for a declined charge, and other frequently asked questions. Changing your information. If your name is changed due to marriage or divorce, the program administrator can authorize changes to your card to reflect the new name after legal proof has been provided to Human Resources. Getting a credit or making a return. If you find an error or need to make a return, contact the vendor immediately to resolve. The vendor must apply the credit back to your PCard. Do not accept store credit. Contact the program administrator for guidance if the vendor will only authorize store credit. If you and the vendor cannot resolve an issue regarding a credit or return, dispute the transaction with Bank of America. Be sure to document all communication with the vendor, including name and title of the individual you spoke with, date and time of communication, notes on the discussion, and the vendor's suggested course of action. Canceling your card account. A few questions and answers. Why would I need to cancel my card? A few examples of why a card would need to be canceled are a cardholder separating from the university, the cardholder moving, or an approver deeming the card no longer necessary. How do I cancel my card? Contact the program administrator for out-processing and account closeout steps. What do I do if my card is lost or stolen? Immediately contact Bank of America by phone to verify recent transactions are not fraudulent. Then, notify the program administrator and approver reviewer in writing of the circumstances and results of the phone call with BOA. Department changes or separation from the university. If you move to a different department, plan to leave the university, or have an approver change, contact the program administrator for help with the transition. Learn the grounds for card suspension. To maintain the integrity and security of the program, cards may be suspended. 3 examples of situations where cards may be suspended are non-compliance, extended leave, and 10-month employee status. Non-compliance with PCard policies and procedures may result in card suspension. Examples that could lead to suspension for non-compliance are sharing the card or the card number with others besides the vendor you are paying, order splitting, purchasing restricted items without appropriate approval, not signing off on the paper ODU reconciliation by the 5th, or not signing off electronically in BOA Works by the 5th. Extended leave. If you will be out for an extended time due to disability, medical leave, family leave, sabbatical, or research that will take you out of the country where you will not be able to access Works, please notify the program administrator. The card will be put in a protective suspension to ensure no fraudulent activity occurs. Similarly, for 10-month employees, the program administrator can put the card in a protective suspension until the employee returns to work. The next section provides information about online reconciliation.
Let's take a look at the basics of online reconciliation. ODU handles reconciliation electronically using the Bank of America work system. This requires both the cardholder and the approver to log into the BOA Works application and electronically sign off on transactions. To ensure proper posting in banner, both the cardholder and approver reviewer must ensure the appropriate budget, subaccount, and contract number information is entered, and transactions for the previous billing cycle are signed off by the 30th of that month, even if the 30th falls on a weekend. Cardholders and approvers will receive a system-generated email when transactions are available for sign-off in Works, but may check the system for pending sign-offs prior to receiving those emails. Weekly sign-off is encouraged. It ensures that all transactions are coded and reconciled by the deadline. It also reduces the likelihood of the halfway discretionary limit causing transactions to decline. The reconciliation process. An overview of the steps in linear sequence may help put the reconciliation process in context. 1. Upload all receipts and supporting documentation to BOA Works. More than one document per transaction can be uploaded. 2. Reconcile using the cardholder's statement and/or the ODU reconciliation report. 3. Sign off on transactions electronically, adding budget, subaccount, contract number or SWAM information, detailed description of purchase as it relates to university business and furthering its mission, and uploading all receipts and backup documentation to Works. 4. Provide ODU reconciliation report to approver or reviewer to ensure all cycle transactions have been signed off in Works. 5. Complete reconciliation, due by the 30th of the month, includes electronic sign-off and attachment of all supporting receipts and documentation in Works. 6. Departments should keep ODU reconciliation reports with supporting receipts and documentation in a safe, central location for a minimum of 3 years. This can be paper copies or electronic copies.
For detailed guidance on online reconciliation and other how-tos, several step-by-step guides with screenshots are available on the PCard section of the Procurement Services website.
Disputing a charge. Pricing discrepancies between the supporting documentation and the Bank of America Works platform must be documented and resolved. Unauthorized or forced charges by a vendor should be disputed. If you are unable to resolve a dispute with a vendor, contact Bank of America. As long as BOA is notified within 30 days of the charge, they will investigate and assist in resolving the dispute on the cardholder's behalf. If any charges appear to be fraudulent, contact Bank of America and the program administrator immediately.
Keep your documentation. All reconciliation reports, plus all supporting documentation, must be kept for at least 3 years to comply with Virginia record retention requirements. These records may be audited by ODU officials as well as state auditors. The next section provides information about using Works as an approver reviewer. What should you expect as an approver reviewer? The 4 primary things you will do as an approver reviewer are: 1. Complete mandatory training and usage analysis annually. 2. Report the following to the program administrator in a timely manner: noncompliance, potential fraud, changes to accounting information, card cancellations, card destruction, and upcoming separations from the university. 3. Sign off on charges as needed, making sure all transactions are accurately documented. Procurement Services recommends doing this weekly. And 4. Monitor card limits for appropriateness. Approving a reconciliation package. After reviewing the cardholder supporting documentation, you will log into BOA Works and approve, or sign off on, the transactions to replenish the spending limit. What should you look for as you review supporting documentation? 1. Ensure the amounts on receipts match the amount shown on the ODU reconciliation report. 2. Ensure all transactions are accounted for. 3. Validate that the receipts provided are original receipts and show no signs of being altered in any way. 4. Vigorously question receipts if you are unsure whether they are original. And 5. Ensure all purchases are authorized, comply with ODU policies and procedures, and support the mission of the university.
Approving a reconciliation package. Continued. Approvers will want to be sure to review documentation and complete the sign-off by the 30th of the month. Reports are available to cardholders around the 17th of each month, leaving significant time for sign-off to be completed by the deadline. Transactions are swept by AP for posting and banner after the sign-off deadline. Cardholders and approver reviewers are considered non-compliant if transactions are not signed off by the deadline, and this will cause a violation to be issued for the card. If you're unsure of the billing cycle dates, they are posted on the PCard section of the Procurement Services website.
Disputing a charge. How should disputed transactions be handled? If a cardholder has disputed a charge that is still being resolved, sign-off is not required. However, a budget code and sub-account code should be allocated with a comment explaining the situation. If an authorized charge has occurred but a return or credit has been requested, allocation and sign-off is required. The next section provides a summary of some common mistakes to help you avoid them. In hopes that you can avoid making common mistakes, here are a few of the most frequent ones. Reconciliation not completed on time, aged invoices paid by PCard, missing contract and SWAM information in Works, card number photocopied, emailed, or faxed, Virginia sales tax paid and not credited back to account, card or card numbers shared with an approver reviewer or coworkers, missing receipts with no documentation regarding attempts to obtain duplicate, order splitting, missing approvals for expenditure requiring additional approval, SWAM vendor quotes or general quotes missing, mandatory sources not used, and incomplete error mark documentation, such as missing confirming order, completed order, attendees, or description of business discussed. In closing, we hope this training has been helpful in equipping you to get the most out of ODU's PCard program. Contact us with any questions you have related to the PCard and/or locating a SWAM or contract vendor. In Procurement Services, We wish to be a resource for your department, so please do get in touch for guidance, as well as visit our website. For those who learn best in person, Procurement Services also provides monthly, in-person training and quarterly open lab refresher sessions.
Congratulations! You have completed the training portion of the online PCard training program. Please complete the PCard quiz using the link in the comment section below. All questions must be answered correctly for the quiz to count.